Some destinies are dictated by fate's cruel hand. Kira trembled under the weight of her hidden potential as the false queen pressed her palm against the ancient text. The air was thick with tension, the scent of betrayal hovering like a storm cloud. Kira knew her life was about to spiral into chaos. The grand hall surged with murmurs. Shadows danced beneath flickering torches, casting ominous shapes against the cold stone walls. Kira stood among the crowd, heart racing, nerves vibrating. They were commoners, but she felt different, separate. A weight bore down on her like an iron shroud. All eyes were trained on the front, where the false queen, Lyra, stood with immense poise and malevolence. Kira swallowed hard, fingers brushing against the hem of her simple dress. Why couldn't she shake this feeling of dread? A pull, something dark and electric, crept into her bones. Lyra's voice echoed, demanding attention. Peace requires sacrifice, and a true queen knows this. But Kira felt an urgency, a knowing, that things were far more ominous than they appeared. Aiden entered the hall like a tempest, the air shifting around him as he strode forward. His presence was commanding, a king navigating storms, and she felt herself drawn in, like a moth to an intense flame. The moment they locked eyes, the world hushed. He was not like the other nobles, old and crooked. No, Aiden held depths within him, a burden carried for centuries. What am I doing here? She thought, fear mixed with unexpected exhilaration. Did he see the spark? The power simmering beneath her surface? She couldn't guess. All she knew was that his gaze ignited something deep within her, a flicker of hope clashing against fear. "Prepare for an ambush!" a voice bellowed from the doorway, pulling Kira from her reverie. The messenger stumbled forward, clothes torn and bloodied. Panic erupted in the chamber. Kira felt her pulse quicken, thoughts racing. This could be the precipice of something monumental, the moment her life changed forever. "Stay calm!" Aiden's voice rang out again, bringing order amidst the chaos. He moved with certainty, directing the guards and civilians alike, an anchor in the storm. Kira watched, astonished. How did he manage to maintain such composure? And then it hit her. Wasn't she just a commoner? An unidentified terror coiled in her stomach as the murmurs grew louder. "Is this the end?" breathed a woman beside her. Men exchanged anxious glances, clutching their weapons as they awaited the imminent conflict. Kira's heart pounded in her chest. She knew little of war, of conflict, and yet, something inside stirred, an ancient pulse calling out. The text Lyra held began to glow, and Kira felt a magnetic tugging. She strained forward, captivated, sensing an unseen link. The written language whispered to her soul. Lyra turned suddenly, her eyes narrowing at Kira. Did she sense it too? The connection? The magic crackling in the air? Kira's breath caught. If only she could understand. The pressure was suffocating. Do not ignore the warning. Lyra's litany of threats barely penetrated Kira's focused thoughts. All she could feel was the weight of the moment, threatening to implode. Then, with a loud crash, the doors burst open. Chaos ensued. A dark figure stepped through, cloak billowing. Wild, ungroomed hair scraped against weathered skin. Kira's instincts kicked in. A terrifying instinct to shield those around her surged. "Get back!" Aiden roared, eyes wide as he spotted her. His voice poured into her ears like an inferno, igniting something unyielding. Kira felt herself shift inwardly, a fierce determination surging through her veins. But could she trust it? Would she embrace this unknown hidden inside? She was terrified, but something whispered that now wasn't the time to back down. The figure lunged, weapons raised, and instinct took over. "Mine," she whispered, the word flickering through the air, electrifying, binding her fate to his. Kira moved, the ground beneath her feet trembling with unbidden power, her heart thrumming with destiny. Would this moment define her? Before she could think, she leaped forward, ready to protect the one who shone like a beacon amidst the encroaching shadows. What would become of her? As the clash began, Kira could feel the world tipping toward an unknown fate. Would she rise to meet it? Kira had lived a humble life, one shaped by both love and abandonment. Orphaned at 5, she was taken in by a hardworking family, good people whose struggles defined her childhood. Each day was a lesson in survival, a balancing act between hope and despair. They had enough to eat, most days, if meager, but love filled the spaces where wealth might have otherwise provided comfort. "Tomorrow will be better," her adoptive mother would say with a sigh, tucking a stray hair behind her ear. Kira clung to those words, but the ache of longing for something more gnawed at her. She felt it in her bones, an instinct that whispered she was more than she appeared. When Kira turned 12, she discovered her secret. In a moment born from fear, a stray dog had threatened her sister, and Kira, feeling the fury bubble inside her, shifted without knowing how. It was as if the wild coursed through her veins, spiraling towards the surface. She became a wolf, fur glistening under the moonlight, but with nothing but instinct guiding her. The moment shattered something inside her. The fear of being different had never been so close, yet exhilarating. For years she had struggled to control it, feeling both cursed and blessed. When she was young, she dreamed of raging forests, the call of the wild stirring something deep, but shame always shadowed her, a commoner who could never be more than she was. And here, in the grand hall, as the chaos began to unfold, those childhood dreams began to flicker to life. She fought to capture her thoughts as Aiden moved with purpose. "We face a threat tonight," he declared, confidence pouring from him like a waterfall. His conviction stoked something in Kira. Could she be brave? But Lyra, what of Lyra? Her adoptive parents had warned her about the false queen, the power-hungry traitor who had betrayed the royal bloodline. Lyra had surfaced from trusted ally to fearsome adversary. A chill crept through the air as dozens of villagers shouted with fear. "We cannot let her take control," one man shouted, raising a pitchfork. Kira felt a swell of recognition. They too feared the tyranny that loomed on the horizon. But Kira's heart thundered, not just with fear, but with uncertainty about her own fate. Confusion tangled with fire. Who was she, if not just a girl destined to serve? Looming in the shadows was Aiden's history. King of a neighboring realm, he had borne the burden of leadership for centuries, a mantle heavy with loss and expectation. His true mate had died many years ago, leaving a void that echoed through his very being. She had once made him laugh, and now the laughter felt like a distant echo. Aiden carried memories of her within him, like a wound that never fully healed. Kira knew little of the struggles he faced. All she could see was a man trapped by duty and shadowed by a tumultuous past, desperately clinging to stability while their world spiraled into chaos. Their fleeting connection at the festival had left an imprint, an ever-present reminder of what could bind them together if they recognized the truth of it. But how could she hope to approach a king with such a legacy? As the commotion grew, Aiden locked eyes with Kira once more, piercing and resolute. "We need to gather the families," he urged, turning toward the door. "Prepare them for conflict. Keep the children safe." The urgency in his voice, a call to arms, reached deep into Kira's spirit. "But could she?" "You're a leader," she breathed, unsure if he heard past the cacophony. Fear knotted her thoughts as she realized she held the key to more than just her fate. Perhaps she could do something that mattered. Whatever warrior magic lay dormant inside her could be the difference needed tonight. Yet Lyra loomed like a dark specter, more than a mere adversary. Her power hung thick in the air, urging Kira to act, but also warning her to stay hidden. With each heartbeat, Kira felt the connection to the ancient text she had seen earlier. What secrets did it hold? Would it unlock more than just her own abilities? Suddenly, the heavy wooden doors behind Aiden burst open again, and the tumult came crashing down. The figure from earlier returned, cloaked in shadows, the glint of steel reflecting carnage. "You think you can defy a queen?" The intruder laughed, voice dark, low, spitting truth and death with wild intent. Kira's instinct kicked in, a primal force igniting. She couldn't stand idly by. "We have to fight back." Aiden glanced at her, pain mingling with his resolve. "Are you with me?" She straightened. "Yes, always." As they both surged forward, Kira clenched her jaw, feeling the strength of her ancestors flow through her. Would the darkness rise? Or would she claim her place among them? What destiny truly awaited them? Could the fates be unwritten? The clash of steel rang out, drowning the chaos with its harsh metallic symphony. Kira felt her pulse quicken as she and Aiden moved, weaving through the throng of terrified villagers. His presence beside her provided a strange mixture of comfort and urgency. They were fighting not just for survival, but for a future intertwined. "Stay close," he commanded, voice low but firm. She felt the electricity between them crackling in the air, a tether pulling her forward. They charged toward the front lines, adrenaline surging as they prepared to face whoever dared to threaten them. The cloaked figure advanced with a cruel grin, revealing dark eyes glinting with malice. "Fools. Do you really think you can save this realm?" he sneered, flicking his wrist to summon chaos. Shadows twisted around him, alive and hungry. Kira's instincts screamed, warning her of the danger lurking, a predator stalking its prey. Aiden moved with graceful ferocity, a warrior expertly parrying blows and rallying villagers to stand their ground. Kira's heart raced as she felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. She could no longer hold back. Dormant power surged within her, begging to be unleashed. With a deep breath, she tapped into it. "Let me!" she shouted. Aiden glanced back, surprise clear in his eyes. "I can help!" Whatever fear he felt was quickly eclipsed by the urgency of the moment. "Okay, just stay aware," he urged, and Kira nodded, determination hardening her resolve. Adrenaline flooded her system. She felt the air shift, thickening with energy as she summoned her wolf form. The transformation rippled through her, muscles coiling like a spring, instincts sharpening. Crouching low, she felt her senses heightening. There was a thrill in embracing the wildness. She could fight. With newfound vigor, she lunged forward, her wolf form erupting from within her, fur glistening under the torchlight. The villagers gasped at her transformation, yet awe quickly turned to focus as she barreled towards the assailant. The very ground seemed to quake beneath her powerful paws. Aiden's eyes widened in astonishment. "You did it!" His voice rang out, full of pride. It fueled her further. She could change the tide of this battle. The shadows engulfing the cloaked figure writhed in response, cowering under her fierce presence. The cloaked figure screamed as she charged, lunging through the air, snapping and growling. "What sorcery is this?" he roared, and she felt the thrill of asserting her dominance. The moment felt electric, alive, with the binding power of instinct urging her forward. But then she felt it. A weight, a familiar presence creeping in. Lyra's influence cloaked the battlefield like a thick fog, swirling around her like choking vines. Shadows tightened, closing in, and Kira fought to break free from their grasp, even as she let her instinct take hold. "Watch for Lyra," Aiden shouted, echoing her thoughts. "She won't let this go unchallenged." Kira tore through the attackers like a bolt of lightning, striking without hesitation. Her wolf instincts were raw and primal, rushing through her with every strike. But even as she fought, she tracked Lyra's movements, sensing the growing darkness. Then, without warning, Lyra appeared, eyes glinting wickedly. "You think you can rebel against me? You are nothing." She raised her hand, summoning tendrils of shadow that coiled towards Kira like venomous snakes. Kira's fur bristled, and she charged towards the queen, vowing to take her down. "I refuse to be nothing." Lyra's laughter echoed through the air, sharp and mocking. "You're merely a girl with delusions of grandeur. You think that beast will protect you? I will crush you both." Aiden shifted to cover Kira's side, sword drawn, ready to engage. "We'll protect each other," he said fiercely. "We fight together." But Kira's heart ached, the clash of old and new pulsing in her veins. She felt the weight of her lineage bearing down on her. "Aiden, my mother was—" "I know. We'll sort it out later," he urged. "Right now, we need to defeat her." The moment hung thick, charged. Kira met Aiden's gaze, understanding flowering between them. They were no longer strangers, no longer defined solely by their pasts. Before she could respond, Lyra struck, summoning shadows to ensnare Aiden. He grunted, fighting against the shadows as they pulled him back. "Kira! Now!" She hesitated only a heartbeat, the remnants of doubt evaporating in the heat of battle. Kira lunged, a whirlwind of fur and claws, plunging her instincts into the darkness. A powerful growl erupted from her chest, challenging the shadows. Kira felt the echoes of her ancestors behind her, guiding her, as she drew upon all the strength hidden deep within. Every ounce of pain, every moment of doubt, they coalesced into one radiant pulse of raw energy. "You will not win," she roared. With an explosive surge of power, she shattered Lyra's shadows, scattering the darkness like shattered glass. The false queen shrieked, anger piercing the air as Kira barreled through the remnants of her power. "Together!" Kira shouted to Aiden. "Let's end this!" As they charged side by side, the ground shook beneath them. Would this be a turning point? The dawn of a new legacy? The final stand against tyranny? Aiden's eyes shone with determination. "We're stronger together!" In that moment, as they forged a path toward the looming threat, Kira wondered if destiny had finally begun to shift. Would they prevail, or would the shadows consume them? What awaited them at the conclusion of this tumultuous night? The ground trembled as Kira and Aiden surged forward, breaths mingling with the acrid smoke from the clash of their struggles. Shadows writhed, but amid the chaos, hope ignited within her. They were more than warriors. They were catalysts for change, a force bound in purpose. "Move closer," Aiden shouted as they dashed toward Lyra. "We can break her hold." Kira nodded, instinct slicing through the fear that threatened to paralyze her. Together, they closed the distance, hearts drumming in sync as the space between them and the false queen dwindled. Lyra was a tempest of dark energy, conjuring tendrils of shadow that struck like venomous snakes. They lashed out, hissing as they tore through the air. A deep growl bubbled in Kira's throat, urging her to push forward. "We will end this now," she declared. Lyra laughed, her voice a chilling melody tinged with madness. "You think your bond means anything? You're merely children playing at war." But with every step, Kira felt the energy connecting them pulse, the bond strengthening under pressure. This was no fleeting moment. They had grown into this fight, and with it came a power that resonated through her very core. "Don't let her win," Aiden urged, his fierce determination sending warmth through Kira's spirit. They were cornered now. She could see the flickers of fear in Lyra's expression, though cloaked behind an armor of deceit. Kira drew upon the strength of her lineage, the memories of her ancestors whispering through her. The connection between them throbbed, a pulse of shared courage. What would it mean to be powerful, truly powerful? To stand not just as a warrior, but as a beacon of hope? Then it happened. A moment of clarity, raw and primal. The shadows swirling around Lyra had begun to flicker, the power she wielded waning as Kira and Aiden held their ground. "Now! Kira!" Aiden's roar pulled her from contemplation. Kira lunged, drawing from the fears and doubts that had tried to hold her back, spiraling into a decisive attack. She pushed power from deep within, summoning all she was. "This ends now!" As she propelled herself forward, claws extended, she felt something shift, a connection binding her to the very fabric of the world around her. She was no longer merely fighting. She was becoming one with the essence of everything around her: earth, spirit, light. Lyra recoiled, a howl escaping her lips as shadows cracked and disintegrated upon contact. "No, you think you can break my power?" Aiden surged forward at Kira's side, sword aloft. "Together we will. You've hidden behind this darkness for too long." With one swift motion, they charged at Lyra. The energy around them erupted like a supernova, ricocheting through the hall. Light pierced the thick veil of shadow, illuminating the faces of the terrified villagers who had once believed Lyra's reign to be unquestionable. The ground shook, thunderous applause of fate reverberating around them. Kira felt emboldened, fire igniting within her. "I am not alone," she roared, her voice entwined with the echoes of those who had stood against tyranny before her. At her side, she felt Aiden's power resonating, pulsing in rhythm with hers. Together they had crafted something fierce, a union crafted from shared struggle and revelation. This bond was truly unbreakable, forged in the fires of fate, raw and electrifying. In one unified movement, they struck outward with ferocity and grace. A final push of energy surged between them, a radiant wave of light pressing against the core of Lyra's shadows. It blasted through the darkness, sending shards of magic spiraling outward like meteors, crashing through every inch of the malevolent aura that sought to bind them. Lyra stumbled, realization dawning across her face, fury morphing into fear. "You cannot! We can! We will!" Kira shouted, a fierce retribution alight in her heart. As they struck together, the shadows collapsed, unraveling around them like strands of silk shredded in a storm. The darkness began to recede, exposed and powerless against the radiance of their unity. With a final howl, the false queen disintegrated into a miasma of shadows that flickered, then vanished. The hall fell silent, the echoes of their struggle transforming into breathless shock. "Is it over?" Kira whispered, panting, allowing the remnants of adrenaline to wash over her. Aiden turned toward her, blue eyes gleaming with pride and wonder. "It is," he breathed, disbelief mingling with exhilaration. "We did it!" As the villagers emerged from their stupor, awe spread through the room like wildfire. Whispers turned into cheers, shouts of triumph breaking the oppressive air once held by the queen's dark reign. Kira felt warmth blossom in her chest, a radiance strong enough to chase away the chill that had defined her past. Then suddenly, something shifted, a lingering dread creeping back in. They had won, yes, but what would follow? Kira could feel the responsibility settle over her like an unexpected burden. Aiden placed a hand gently on her shoulder, grounding her. "We need a leader," he said softly. "With the false queen gone, the realm looks to us. Together." Wariness and strength swirled within her. Would she step up to the challenge? "Can we truly lead? After everything?" Kira asked, fear quivering along her spine. "Only if you're ready," Aiden replied, unwavering. "And I'll stand with you, every step of the way. But it's your choice." Kira looked out to the faces of the villagers, many still in shock, others elated. They had fought alongside her, believed in her when she had doubted herself, and suddenly she saw it all. The potential, the hope. "Then let's build a new future." "Together," Kira said, the conviction swelling in her heart. A shift had begun. A transformative moment sparked within her. She may have been a girl swept into the madness of fate, but now she stood on the precipice of something great. A legacy sparked not merely by blood, but by the light of connection. What kind of ruler would she become? Would the shadows always haunt her? Or could they be vanquished forever? The dawn would come soon, and with it, a world yet unknown. The cheers of the villagers echoed in the hall, but Kira's heart raced not with elation, but the weight of what lay ahead. The looming uncertainty twisted in her stomach, mixing with the thrill of victory. They had defeated Lyra, but a new enemy awaited. The legacy of her tyranny and the uncertainty of leadership. Aiden stepped closer, his expression grave yet supportive. "We can't celebrate for long. There are still those loyal to Lyra. Her influence lingers. We must prepare for what's to come." "Do you think they'll come for us?" Kira asked, anxiety clenching her throat. "Possibly," he said, scanning the crowd, noting their reactions. Fear drives people. They might react in chaos without a strong hand to guide them. "We need to form a council, a team of leaders to unite the realm against any remnants of her power." Kira felt a swell of determination. "We can show them hope. Unity. I've spent so long feeling powerless, but tonight proved we can change everything. I will stand with you, Aiden. Together, we will lead." Aiden's gaze intensified. "Then let's gather the villagers. They deserve to see their future." They stepped onto a makeshift platform, rising above the crowd. The hall fell silent, anxious faces turned towards them. Kira felt the weight of their hope, their need for direction. She cleared her throat, fighting against the tide of nervousness. "People of Valoria," she began, her voice slightly shaky, yet gaining strength. "I know the night has been filled with darkness and fear, but look around you. We stand united. Together, we have defeated the Queen's shadow. We fought with our hearts, our instincts, our very essence. This is not the end. It's merely the beginning of reclaiming our realm." Aiden stepped beside her, nodding, standing firm like a bastion of support. "We have much to restore. We will ensure that no one will suffer under tyranny again. Your voices matter, your stories matter. We seek to hear them, to hear each other, Together, we will rebuild not just this hall but our community. The villagers muttered among themselves, uncertainty still lingering in the air. Kira recognized the struggle in their eyes, the longing for stability, for safety. She took a breath, a wave of warmth pooling in her chest. We will not shy away from our past. Mistakes can be learned from. They can teach us fortitude and resilience. We are the guardians of our home, and together, we will shape our future. Cheering erupted, a tide of hope washing over the room. Kira felt the energy shifting, igniting a spark deep within her. Amidst the applause, she caught Aiden's gaze, his smile bright and reassuring. In that moment, Kira knew she wasn't just a girl caught in a storm anymore. She was a leader emerging from the shadows, a guiding light for her people. Suddenly, a loud crash shattered the jubilant atmosphere. The doors burst open, and a group of soldiers, clad in dark armor, stormed in, faces grim and determined. They were remnants of Lyra's followers, eyes glazed with fanatical loyalty. "Do not let them spread lies," one soldier shouted, pointing towards Kira and Aiden, desperate fury boiling over. "She is a traitor, a usurper! Silence!" Aiden barked, stepping protectively beside Kira. "You honor the fallen queen with your blind allegiance." "She is gone. Her reign is over." But the soldiers spat back, fury igniting their eyes. "Never. We will reclaim what is ours. We will not bow to a half-breed." Kira felt heat flood her face. "I am not a usurper. I am the people's voice. You have been blinded by loyalty to a false queen." The soldiers advanced, but tension sparkled in the air. Electric. Aiden brandished his sword, standing steadfast beside her. "You will not harm her or her people. You will stand down or face the consequences." Kira's thoughts raced. They couldn't let this escalate into violence, not when they had fought so hard for peace. "Please, this is not the way. We can't continue this cycle of hatred," she pleaded, her voice steady but filled with conviction. "We have suffered enough. Together, let's forge a new path." The soldiers hesitated, uncertainty flickering in their fierce expressions as Kira reached deep within herself, summoning the light of her own lineage. The warmth of unity shimmered through the words she spoke, wrapping around her like a shield. "Our lives matter. We can find a way to heal the wounds of the past. Join us. Choose hope over hate." A moment of silence stretched, the tension electric. Kira knew she only had one chance. She stepped closer to the soldiers, heart racing. "Fight for what is right. Help us reclaim Valoria as a place of unity, not division." A flicker of recognition crossed the soldiers' faces. She saw it in their eyes, the desire for belonging, for purpose. A moment of hesitation, then another soldier stepped forward, his armor battered, face worn but determined. "What do you propose?" "Join our council," Aiden urged. "We need everyone's voices. Let's work together to build a new future." "We must decide the fate of those loyal to Lyra fairly," Kira added, her heartbeat steady despite the fear. "But it must be together. Our only path forward is one of unity." The soldiers exchanged glances, uncertainty rife among them. "We will not be ruled by hatred," their leader said hesitantly. "But we have suffered. We've lost too much. Then let's reclaim what was lost. Together," Kira said, gesturing for them to step forward. "Let's rewrite this story from hate to understanding, from pain to compassion." Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the soldiers lowered their weapons. "Very well, we'll listen," their leader said, forging a path built on tentative trust. Kira felt the burden lift as the realization settled. The true battle wasn't just against darkness, but within the hearts of those around her. The dawn was brightening the hall, flooding it with warmth and possibility. "Then let this horizon be a testament to our unity," Aiden said, standing tall beside Kira. "What shall we do next? What steps should they take to forge a new path together? Could their resolve endure? Would the scars of their past become the stones upon which they built their future?" As dawn broke over Valoria, light filtered through the hall, illuminating the faces of the villagers and soldiers gathered in anticipation. Kira stood at the forefront, her heart racing. They had troubled moments ahead, but today marked the beginning of a new chapter. Today we reclaim our home, Kira began, her voice strong. Together, we have triumphed over darkness. Now, we must build a future rooted in unity. Aiden stepped beside her, radiating support. We need a council that reflects the voices of our people. We cannot allow fear to guide us one moment longer. Kira nodded, feeling the weight of her mission. We must include those from every community, every walk of life. Only then will our realm heal from the scars of tyranny. As murmurs of agreement spread through the crowd, the soldier who had stepped forward earlier raised a hand. But what of those loyal to Lyra? How will we treat them? Kira's gaze steadied on the soldier. Compassion is crucial. We must recognize that many followed Lyra out of fear, not loyalty. Let's give them the opportunity to rebuild with us. The soldiers exchanged glances, reflecting uncertainty, but also the yearning for resolution. It is risky, their leader said, a hint of hope tinged in his voice. But perhaps it's time for a new path. Aiden stepped forward. Together, we have already begun to turn the tide. Let us honor our past, but choose to build anew. The soldiers lowered their weapons, signaling a tentative truce. Very well. We will listen, the leader said, an ember of trust igniting in his eyes. As Kira absorbed the moment, relief washed over her. They weren't merely fighting shadows anymore. They were forging a future full of promise. Let us gather together to form our council. We will create a haven of voices to guide our community. Cheers echoed through the hall, a chorus of support that filled the air. Kira felt strength blossoming within, the air thick with hope, fostering connections that had long been strained. We must meet regularly, working toward solutions and celebrating our successes. This will be a new era for Valoria. Days turned to weeks, and the newly formed council met, filled with representatives from every town and guild. Kira thrived in her role, and the realm began to awaken, prosperity gradually trickling back as trades revived and gardens flourished. One radiant afternoon, as Kira walked through the village, hands clasped with Aiden's, she stopped at the lush fields. Laughter and chatter vibrated in the air, mingling with the scent of blooming flowers. "What do you see?" Aiden asked, glancing out over the vistas. "A future built on trust and collaboration," Kira replied, her heart soaring. "I never imagined we could weave our stories together like this." As they stood side by side, a sense of belonging enveloped them. "We're more than survivors. We're creators of what this realm will become," Aiden said, determination glowing in his eyes. Kira felt invigorated, inspired to continue steering them toward a brighter horizon. But shadows still lingered in the edges of her mind. What if remnants of Lyra's followers rise again? She pondered, anxiety threading through her thoughts. "Then we face them together," Aiden reassured, squeezing her hand. "We will not let fear control us. We can rise above." They turned back toward the village, ready to confront whatever awaited them. What lessons will we learn from this alliance? Kira wondered aloud. Would their resolve endure? The bonds they forged were stronger than the hatred that had once divided them. Together, they walked toward the beating heart of Valoria, determined to write the next chapters of their story filled with resilience and hope. As she looked ahead, visions of thriving fields, children laughing, and vibrant gatherings filled her mind. The world was ripe with potential, and they were crafting their destiny, one moment at a time. If you enjoyed the story of Kira and Aiden, the emerging voices of Valoria, subscribe for more epic Lycan King romances. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story. And remember, with unity, even the deepest wounds can be healed. Thank you for listening.